Hello. In this video, I'd like to talk about what if you're a younger person, like in your 20s or 30s, and you just received a inheritance or a lump sum of cash. Let's say $10,000 to $50,000, maybe $100,000. What do you do with that money? All right. So as a youngster, you can take a little more risk, but let's not be too risky. Like, let's not go to the casino or anything like that. Let's go and put this money into the market. And as a young person, what I'm saying is take a little risk by maybe putting all that money into like a total stock market index fund, like a VTI or a VOO. All right. So you won't have as much diversification in the different segments of your, in the entire portfolio. But what you will have is a very well diversified stock portfolio. So it'd be consisting of all stocks. So the difference between all stocks and a well diversified portfolio for someone older is you want to have some gold or some long-term bonds or some real estate investment trusts, something else within your funds in there. So you don't want to put all of your money into like Bitcoin or anything like that. I'm going to recommend this book called The Simple Path to Wealth. This is written by J.L. Collins, and this book here is very well written, describes, buy a one stock, VTSAX. That's kind of his main stock to buy, and that's a great choice. It's similar to a VTI, but it's a Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund. So I do recommend purchasing this book, reading over it, go to the library, get it for free, whatever you got to do, but it tells you how to get started. Okay, but let's get back to the conversation about you just got a lump sum of money. You're a young person, let's say in your 20s or 30s. Okay, so the first thing I would do is, do you have any high interest credit cards, high interest debt? So what you want to do is you want to pay off those high interest credit cards or debt first. All right. So that means that if you have let's say $5,000 on your credit card, let's pay that off, because some of those have a 24 to 30% APR. That's annual percentage rate. So I want you to pay off your high interest debt first. All right. But what we do want to make sure is that we don't incur that new debt because your habits have not changed. What we want to do is we want to change your habits, and we don't want to build up that amount anymore. We want to reduce that amount of your high interest debt. So stop spending so much on your credit cards. Stop trying to live extravagantly. Some of you may be not living extravagantly, and it's just like basics things, but there are many things that we can cut out of this. So for example, you can cut out your DoorDash and your ordering your pizzas and your Kroger delivery, stuff like that. You just got to get in your car or Uber or whatever, get to the grocery store, buy your own groceries. It's going to be the better choice. You get to pick your own fruits and vegetables and everything, the fresher for you, so that's the better buy. So I would say pay off your higher interest debt first. Okay. Second one is build an emergency fund. So what emergency fund is, it's just that in case of an emergency. So you're driving and you get one flat tire. Well, that flat tire is $200 or $300 fixed. Maybe there's a tow involved. Well, now you got $500, maybe $1,000 involved in this one little emergency. And if you don't have that money, well, you got to put it on that credit card, and then you start making payments on that credit card, and it takes you a while to pay this debt off. So let's build an emergency fund, and then have some of that money that we just got, and we'll put that into an emergency fund. Okay. So with that emergency fund, I want you to take that money and I want you to put it into a high yield savings account. So some type of savings account that actually is earning you some money on that money. So let's say it's 4% interest. So you slap in $1,000. $1,000 is going to be okay. It's going to be your emergency fund, and it's going to be earning a little bit of interest on there. So spread your money out within a diversified portfolio. So for those younger guys, like I said, just buy a VTSAX or VTI or VOO. Those are great funds for you to jump into, and it won't be diversified in the sense of a diversified portfolio, but will be diversified in the market. Okay, so they tend to go down a lot less than the rest of the market. Okay, because they're comprised of so many stocks. All right, so if you are older, let's say you're in your 40s or 50s and you got this amount of money, say you get $50,000 or $100,000 worth of money, then I would say you want to start putting that into a diversified portfolio, which means the stocks, bonds, gold, and real estate investment trusts, stuff like that. Okay, maybe a tiny bit of a fraction of it into a Bitcoin or something. Okay. And another thing we can do is high interest savings accounts and CDs. Okay, so when you're young, I want you to contribute to your 401ks, contribute at least the minimum. So this means that your employer will give you 6% automatically. Normally it's 6%. So I want you to match that 6%. And so your employer is basically giving you a free 6% money on the money that you put in. So definitely do that. And then when you put it into the 401k, make sure it gets into a market or a target date fund or a total stock market fund. Okay, this is commonly missed. You contribute to a 401k, but you don't actually invest it. So that's a no-no. Let's invest it. Okay. Another thing to invest in is invest in yourself and invest in financial education. So get books, learn, study. Listen to podcasts. There's a lot of podcasts out there, and there's a lot of good ones out there that teach you about how to save, how to spend properly, and reduce your total expenditures, and also increase your income. There's podcasts that allow you to find a side gig to pull in more income. Okay, and that money that you put into the stock market as you're young, that money will build tremendously. It will compound over and over and over. They say for every 7 years, your money doubles. So let's say you put in $100,000 today. 7 years from now, let's say you're 20 years old. 20 years old, now you're 27. You started with 100,000. Now you're at 200,000. Okay, so 27, 200,000. Then you get 7 more years on that. At age 34, you will now have $400,000. So let's say at the age of 41, now you will have $800,000. Okay. At the age of 48, you will have $1.6 million. You see how this adds up, this compounds, and this is without you adding any additional money to this account. It's you dropped in that 100K when you were 20 years old. You left it there. You didn't touch it. It was invested into the total stock market. It had its ups and downs, but now you left it alone until you're 48 years old, and now you have $1.6 million inside of there. That's what Coast Fi pretty much is. You have a large lump sum to begin with, and you invested that, and you waited and waited, and it compounded and compounded, and every 7 years it basically doubles. Okay, so your $100,000 turned into $1.6 million at the age of 48. So that's pretty good. So that's my advice to you is I want you to invest your money that you make, put in the money into your 401k, try to max out that 401k. This is a very important life lesson. Max it out. Definitely do the bare minimum of matching it. And there is a difference. There is something called a Roth IRA and a normal 401k. So you get 401k and then you have Roth 401k. So the difference between those two items are the Roth is already taxed. So let's say you got $1,000 from your paycheck. You're going to instantly pay the tax on that money, and it's going into your retirement account. Okay. And then you'll never have to pay tax on that $1,000 or any money that money makes compounding. You'll never have to pay any taxes on that, as opposed to the 401k, the normal traditional 401k, which that one there is automatically tax deferred. So that means that you don't pay tax on it right now. You'll pay tax on it later. So when you pull it out, when you're supposedly retired, 60 years old, 65, whatever, whenever you decided to retire, 60, yeah, 65, let's say. So you retire, that's when you start pulling that money out, and you pay tax on that money at that time. So you invested all those years, and you pay the tax later on when you start pulling that money out, okay, when you're retired. Roth 401k versus traditional 401k. All right, for the youngsters out there that are just starting and you are making the least that you're probably going to make in your lifetime, so I would say contribute to a Roth IRA. That's the more important one, because your money has the longest time to work for you and to compound, and that money is already taxed at that time at which you put it in. So let's say you're 20 years old, you put in let's say you put in $200 into your Roth 401k, and that money is already taxed, and it just keeps growing. And at the age of 60, you have basically money that has already been taxed and grown over those 40 years. You will pull out that money tax-free and don't pay any taxes on the gains too. So as opposed to the traditional 401k, you would want to contribute to the traditional 401k when you are at a higher salary. So if you have a high salary, you kind of want to hide that money. You want to defer the taxes on it. So that means you can pay the taxes later on it, and you can do Roth conversions, which means taking that traditional 401k and converting it to a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, whichever one. Most likely it's going to be a Roth IRA if you're done working. That's when you would transfer that money. You would pay taxes on it at a different tax rate, because now you are retired and you are making zero W-2 income when you're retired normally. Then you would be in a very low tax bracket. So that's the time to start your Roth conversions. The Roth conversions will get taxed at the time that you'd make that conversion. So let's say you converted $50,000 into your Roth 401, from your traditional 401k to your Roth 401k. When you do that, you're automatically going to get taxed on that $50,000. Okay, so $50,000 at the bare minimum tax level, which is what, 10 or 12%. So if you have zero W-2 income, and you'll be then taxed, let's say 10 or 12% on that $50,000. Okay. There is, the standard deductions. So you can take off, let's say $30,000 from that if you're a married couple, and you can reduce that amount. So now you have only $30,000 that you have to pay taxes on. So that'd be $3,000. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you like the content. Thank you and goodbye.